the month of Adar is a month of happiness. It's a unique time, a unique place in time that Hashem created, where there's an energy. There's an energy in the air. And if you live in Manhattan or any of those places where the air is polluted, we're talking about the spiritual air. There's an energy in the spiritual air to tap into a concept of simcha, which translates into English happiness or joy, but they're not ideal, perfect translations, because in Hebrew the word simcha has a uniqueness to it. It's connected with the creation of the world, and in the realm of holiness, the words in Lashon HaKodesh, Hebrew, the ancient pure Hebrew, these words have deeper connotations than just being happy. Being happy is nice, but understanding what the essence of true happiness is, we have to go into the source of where happiness comes from. Anyway, right now is a time where that energy is in the air. The issue, though, that we're going to have to address this year is how do we balance a time that's essentially built and created for happiness when there's so much sadness and tragedy and suffering. This is the big issue right now. The issue is that right now, in a general sense, people are suffering to such a degree that how dare you be happy? How dare you? What do you think? The world revolves around you? Some people do think that, but so you're going to walk around all happy, dancing, singing, jumping, all and people are suffering. It's a disgrace to them, and so that's the conflict and contradiction right now. Is how can we be happy in a time that is meant for happiness, despite everything else that's going on? So let me help all of us just briefly redefine or clarify what it means when the Torah is telling us and the sages are reminding us that now's the time to be happy, to be joyous. What does happiness truly mean? So let me contrast with what it's not, okay? A person can try to escape from his reality. A person wants a break, he wants to escape. These are what vacations are. You stop your life and you exit it and you go on to an alternative track which is not your life, and you have this vacation which is unbelievably fun if your investment worked out and paid off. You want to go and have this amazing, great time. And there's validity to that. But let's analyze what are we really trying to do and what are we doing? We're stopping our lives and we're exiting that and we're going into a alternative, non-real life. It's not a real life, your vacation. It's just a vacation. In many cases, people go to places where no one knows them, and unfortunately, there's a way to take that and turn out to a very big negative. When you go to a place where nobody knows you, so then there's a you that comes out that nobody will ever know, and you don't want anybody to know, because when no one's watching, so you're a different person. Who's the real person? The person that's behaving all year long because people are watching, or the person that's not behaving because nobody's watching? So I would like to contend that the real you is maybe the one that's the one on vacation, and the fake you is the one all year long at home, or they're both you, because there are many facets to within ourselves. Anyway, more to our exact point is this: escaping from reality, escaping from life, will not bring true happiness, because that's not what happiness is. It might create an exciting, fun activity, fun experience, but not happiness. And it's important to understand the difference. And I'll use a classic example. I've used it before, and that is this. If you want to go to a movie, so what are you trying to accomplish when you go to a movie? You're really trying to escape your movie, which is really the most important movie in your life, is your movie, the movie you're creating, the movie you're acting in, the movie you're writing, the movie you're directing, with, of course, a producer, a co-producer at least, is Hashem, God. Many of us decide to go independent. We don't want God involved in our movie, and that turns out to be a horrible movie, a disaster in many ways. But at least if we understand that God is the co-producer in our movie, we understand what we're here. We're working together to create our life, our real life. So a movie is an escape from that, and I said there's room for justifying that because everyone needs a break. So you go to this 2-hour movie for a break. What are you getting in return? So it doesn't matter what you get. If you enjoyed the movie, if it was a fun movie, then you got your money's worth. Now let's take, for example, and I use this specifically because it brings the point home in the best way. Let's take someone who decided in my time where movies were still, where I still was going to the movies. If let's say we decide to go see the movie Dumb and Dumber. I believe it's pretty popular. I'm sure you maybe all heard of it and still know about that movie. Maybe you saw it. Dumb and Dumber. Let's look at the title for a minute. Dumb is dumb, and dumber is even dumber. Now, what's that movie about? So that movie's about senseless, absolute brainless humor, which makes us laugh because it is absolutely stupid, but it's funny because it's unexpected. Now, that's an escape, which, again, for those 2 hours, if you want to unplug and be stupid and enjoy the ridiculous humor that's presenting to you, fine. Okay, you had that 2 hours. But in life, in real life, one cannot make his vacation, so to speak, one cannot make his life into a Dumb and Dumber, because life is not about escape. Life is not about nothing, about being stupid. Life is about being accomplished and having purpose. And so that's a good contrast in this. You can go for 2 hours of Dumb and Dumber, and then of course the sequel and the quadruple, and great. That's as long as that's just like a break from reality. But when your break from reality creates a new reality that's contradictory to who and what you are, then that's not productive. That's destructive. So let's understand, to get back to our main point. Joy and happiness, real joy and happiness from a Torah perspective, from the word simcha, there's a verse that says one must serve God with joy. The rabbis tell us that when Adar comes, when this month where spring is starting to blossom, and we're approaching springtime, so we're meant to be simcha, we have to be joyous, we have to be happy, and there's an increase of that, specifically now, is because real simcha, real joy, comes with reality, not with fiction, not with escaping from reality. And so what they're telling us to do is to dig deeper, invest more in the time you're in right now, and more in yourself and your real purpose, not to escape from your real purpose. Find out who you are, what you are, where you are, and plug in and connect to that properly. That's where simcha lies. That's where real joy and happiness lies, because that's plugging into reality, your reality, the world that Hashem is creating for you at that exact moment, every moment. That's plugging into your essence and the essence of what you are. We said, you're a movie, you're a walking movie that's co-produced by you and Hashem. And you got a lot to harness. You have a lot of potential to bring to light. Right. And when you do that, that brings true joy. Now, of course, have a good time, have fun. Have the right background music to your life. Every movie has to have the right background music. And an upbeat background music will create an upbeat attitude. Right. You know what I mean? One of the main ingredients, this is what people miss, unfortunately, sometimes. One of the main ingredients, I would argue the most important ingredient that you're going to add to your life is your attitude toward your life. The positive attitude will create a more positive life. So with a positive attitude and the right background music, you have a chance to create a happy life. But that happy life is a life that's one with its purpose. Because you'll never have real happiness if you drop the ball, if you missed your purpose while you were here. You might have a superficial false happiness, like the movie's making you laugh for 2 hours, but it disappears and there's nothing after. The point of life is to have something at the end of it. So real happiness from a perspective of Torah that we're meant to increase and learn how to tap into when we need to, which is almost always, is a happiness that is the result of being connected with who you are and what you're here for. And accomplishing that brings the ultimate satisfaction and true inner joy. It doesn't mean laughing out loud like someone that's crazy. I unfortunately knew a person that wasn't normal, and he laughed a lot. He laughed a lot out loud, and actually people, when he walked around the streets, people looked at him and like, wow, this guy's, I wish I was where he was. Really, you didn't wish where he was because he was out of his mind. He happened to be a relative of mine, so it was sad. I took care of him for a little while. He was my uncle, and I tried to take care of him for a part of my life when I was available to try to do that, and I had wishful thinking. I thought that everything would work out wonderful, but the cure never came. But I'll tell you one thing I learned from him, very interesting thing I learned from him in the time that I was trying, so to speak, his roommate for a while, was this. In the few conversations we had where he was focused enough to have these conversations, so he said to me, listen, you know, the doctors say I'm crazy, but they don't know what they're talking about, which made me realize insanity doesn't recognize itself. He was happy, and he ignored his reality on some level because he was crazy, he couldn't help it. And that's beyond his control. But when we, healthy, normal, smart, sane human beings, ignore who and what we really are for that false happiness, so we walk around laughing with this external outer smile that means nothing when we're dead inside. Forget about sad inside. We're dead inside. That's a tragedy. That's a tragedy when we search for this false, empty happiness, this beautiful box that's empty inside all our lives, and then at the end, regret it. Realize now, a beautiful, empty box is empty. And whatever box you have, no matter how beautiful it is or isn't, full is full of life, full of reality, full of what you have really accomplished. And so you'll never get anywhere by escaping. You'll only get where you want to get to by working through it. Through the reality that is your reality, with its ups and downs, you work through it and you wind up on top. That's the real secret to true happiness. And it's really in the words themselves. The word simcha, besimcha, which is the word we're going to now look at, is this. When the Torah says, and the rabbis say we should serve God with joy, the letters of that word is besimcha, bet, shin or sin, mem, chet, hey. If there would be a nice green screen behind me, we'll do it like that. Spell it out, we'll have some nice effect. We'll spell it out with music. Don't forget there's music in the background of this video, okay? This class has got music to it, but you gotta play your own music. Besimcha, bet, okay, watch the bet. Samach in script writing, I'm sorry, not samach, shin or sin, mem, chet, hey. Besimcha spells in Hebrew, when you turn the letters around and reveal their inner message, is machshava, which itself means thought, focus. Real joy and happiness from a perspective of Torah, of truth, of what we're really here to tap into, means turning on your brain. Turning on your brain to its fullest, to the top, to the highest dial. The other way of finding what we think is simcha, but it's emptiness, it's not real simcha, it's just a fake smile, a fake happiness, is turning off your brain. Now go take a look outside at all the fun that you see. Now, you see kids having fun at the playground, and they're not using that much of their brain. Why? Because they don't have that much of their brain yet. And so for a kid to have fun, all he has to do is jump up and down. It's beautiful to watch these beautiful children having pure, true happiness without their brain, because they don't have a brain yet. And it's the cutest thing to see. But when you see a 60-year-old baby having the same happiness as that 6-month-old baby, that's sad. That's a tragedy, because he's turned off his brain and is looking for the quick fix. And that will only fix you superficially. It will never fill up that box. It will never fill up your life with what will truly make you happy, but a happiness that will be eternal happiness. Because the real happiness and the real accomplishment and joy of life is when you reach the end of your life and you can look back and say, I had a good life. I was happy and I accomplished. And what I take with me now to my next life, the soul lives on forever. That's true and ultimate happiness. A happiness that doesn't die when your body dies, but that lives with you and the soul tomorrow. And there's another tomorrow when your body and soul will be reunited and resurrected. That happiness is the happiness that continues even then. Because truth is eternal. And when you tap into who you really are and what you're really here for, you tap into the eternal, forever happiness that Hashem is trying to create with you. He's not going to force you to do anything. You have to create that happiness together with Hashem.